Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tips, tools, and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tanya and I help people tap into their inner healer naturally and intuitively. Today I wanted to talk about 5 signs that you have a greater purpose in life. This was something that has kind of come into my existence over the last, I'd say 2 to 3 years, and I thought I would share some of the signs that you may be experiencing these types of things too. So the first one is people are just naturally drawn to your energy. You might be what's called a light worker. You shine a beacon of light and people just are naturally drawn to you. And you've noticed that over the years. You've noticed that when you're in a crowd, people will come to you, or you'll be at the grocery store and people will just share their life story with you. That is a sign that you have a greater purpose in life, that you are a very open soul, that people feel very comfortable around you, and that you shine a very bright light. The second sign is deep inside, you just know that there is something greater for you. You might be grinding away at the 9-to-5 life, having a job that's just super unfulfilling for you. But you want something with more meaning. You want something that's more fulfilling, and you just don't know what it is yet, but you know deep down inside your soul is shaking you. It's rattling you, telling you that we need to do something bigger. We are meant for something more. That was kind of my experience. I was working in the healthcare related field for 15 to 20 years. And in the beginning, it was very purposeful for me. It was very passionate. I was working for a nonprofit organization, but over the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, I started to just not feel that meaning was there anymore. There was something bigger for me. There was something else that I needed to be doing, and I just couldn't shake it. My soul every single day was making it harder and harder for me to stay at that job. It just wasn't where I needed to be, but it was very comfortable for me, right? So I had done it for so long and I was making really good money and I felt very comfortable. But you know what? We don't grow when we're in that comfort zone. And that's exactly what was happening to me, as I was being pushed to move out of that comfort zone and to do something with more meaning. I needed to take what I had learned at that specific job and apply those lessons and then move forward with it into something more meaningful for me at that time. And not only that, is it shifted my energy, and it allowed another person to step into that space to be able to fulfill their journey and to move on with whatever soul purpose it was for them. So if you're feeling that really strongly, that you're in a job that is very mundane, you feel like you're on autopilot, there's just no meaning to it, then you are definitely being nudged, being pushed, being guided to do something more meaningful. There is something in your soul that is really strongly pushing you, catapulting you towards something. So pay attention to what your passions are. And if you're having a hard time figuring out what it is, go back to when you were a child. When we are children, we are naturally open to our passion, to our purpose. But as we get older, society kind of trains us and shifts us into other ways and kind of pushes us into these boxes. But when you start to go back to when you were a child, maybe you like to paint, maybe you like to do to dance, maybe you'd like to communicate with other kids or people around you, whatever it may be, look back to that. Ask your parents too. I had to do that. I say, hey, what was I good at as a kid? What were some things that I used to do? And they always said that I always liked to spark conversations with people. I always liked to help people. And that's exactly what I like to do. So it doesn't have to be this grand thing. It could be something that's very simple. So go back to that childhood. The third thing is you don't settle for the societal matrix. And what I mean by that is you don't settle for what society has told you that you need to do. You don't like to be shoved into a label or a box. Maybe you're the black sheep in the family. Maybe, you're the one who is always pushing the boundaries. I mean, that was exactly me. I was always the one who was like, I'm not settling for that. I'm not going to go that direction just because the whole herd of sheep is going that way. I'm going to make my own path. And I always felt like I was a natural born leader. And in order to be a leader, you've got to kind of forge ahead and sometimes, make your own path in life. So if you feel that way, then you are absolutely meant to do bigger and grander things in your life. The fourth thing is you're seeing synchronicities everywhere. So if you're seeing synchronicities, I've got a video on synchronicities. For me, it was just ridiculous. I kept seeing the same numbers: 11, 11, 22, 1, 2, 3, 4, 44. And I was like, what is going on? Every time I look at a clock, every time I look at my phone, every time I look at a license plate, it was just getting really obnoxious. So I started to research, what are these numbers? And that's when I found what are called angel numbers, but they're grander than that. They're bigger than that. They're actually like activations. They're activating you to follow them. They're kind of like a compass, a guidance system. So when you follow those numbers, and it doesn't have to just be numbers, it can be letters, it can be animals, it could be people in your life. If you're noticing, we call them coincidences, but really they're synchronicities. They are the way of the universe. They're the way that we are communicated with from our higher self, from God, from source, from the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's a way of subtly communicating with us. And once we hone in on it, it becomes so blatantly obvious when you're being communicated with. You just can't shake it. When you meet a certain person and then you see 44, on the clock, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I was meant to meet that person because I am on this particular path. And a way to know that you're on your path is when you start to see a whole ton of synchronicities. For me, it just got, as I moved from Florida to Washington, the synchronicities got more and more and more, and they got stronger and stronger and stronger. And then it just got absolutely ridiculous. I would be sitting at a stoplight and I would see 5 cars in front of me that all had 44 on the license plate. Like, hi, it's like a little wink from your universal, higher self, which is really cool. So if you're seeing synchronicities, that's absolutely a sign that you need to follow them, and that you need to follow them because they're going to show you where your path is in life. The fifth thing is that certain things start to spark a passion inside of you. It could be environmental causes, it could be natural healing, it could be, animal cruelty. There are certain things out there that if it sparks some sort of a fire inside of you, that could be the direction that you're going. For me, it was healthcare. I was working in healthcare and I was seeing a lot of sick people coming in and out of the hospital, the same people coming in and out of the hospital. They were being given medications, and the medications weren't helping them because they weren't dealing with the root cause, the root issue of whatever that person's ailment was. So they were just kind of putting, ooh, look at the dragonfly. There's a dragonfly on my camera. So that's a synchronicity. I love dragonflies. So for me, it was just that. I felt like growing up in a rural area, around predominantly Amish community. I'm not Amish, but I was around a lot of that. So there was a lot of natural healing taking place in the area that I lived. And when I started to work in healthcare, I didn't really realize how bad it was. And then I was kind of healing myself on my own through natural methods, through herbs and food and, different techniques that I was using. And I thought, geez, maybe I need to start helping other people do this too. And then that's when I started to learn more and more. I was being guided and led to learn more and more about energy medicine and our emotional health. Working in trauma, I saw a lot of people grieving and a lot of loss. And I would see some people healing and I would see some people not. They would just be really stuck and they couldn't move past some of those emotions of grief and anger and bitterness. And so I was kind of really guided to push ahead and start my own healing journey. And this started back in, I'd say, probably 2010, when I started going through my awakening process, and I started to take better care of my body. And then it led from my physical body to my mental health, to my emotional health, and then to my spiritual health too. So if you're really strongly being guided along those paths, there's something in your soul that is really, kind of festering, then that's where you need to follow. You need to explore that a little bit more. You need to go down that road and see, well, what does this mean? Why am I feeling this urge or this push or this pull? And for me, it wasn't an immediate jump out of my job and jump into my new job. It was kind of a transition. And as I was going through my own healing process, I started to get certified in EFT tapping, and then the emotion code, and Reiki, and all of these things started to just kind of follow through over the course of a year. And then I opened up my business, and then that's when I started taking clients. And it was something that gradually happened. It wasn't something that I just ripped the Band-Aid off and started doing. So if you can balance that out, if you're really unfulfilled and unhappy with where you're at right now, start to follow your own healing journey, your own healing process, because oftentimes when we're healing ourselves, that's our calling. There's a reason why you're going through whatever it is that you're going through, because you're going to be there to help other people get through that particular issue as well. So for me, it was kind of emotional health and anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder, because that's what I was suffering with. Seeing all of the death and loss that I was seeing in the trauma units, I was having a really hard time processing it. So now I work with a lot of people on a variety of levels, but it seems like a lot of those people are drawn to me because I have some experience in that area, because I did suffer with some of those issues myself and was able to overcome them naturally and intuitively. So I hope that this video was helpful for you, and I hope that you can find a little bit more clarity on what your path is. And each and every one of us has a greater purpose, a greater mission, and we just need to figure out what it is. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Just follow what you love to do. Follow your passions, follow your heart, and you will always get there. You will never go wrong, and your soul will absolutely love you for it. You deserve to navigate your life in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT tapping, and the Emotion Code, visit my website at www.theexistentialempath.com.